They told me to stand near the wall so I wouldn't ruin the family photos. My seat? Given to my brother's fiance's cousin's +1. So I walked up to the gift table, took back my envelope, and said, "Don't worry, I'll stay out of the frame forever." He came running as I walked out. But it was already too late. Hey everyone, before we dive in, if you've ever felt invisible in your own family, hit that subscribe button. Every week I share stories about finding freedom and choosing yourself. And trust me, what Madison does with that envelope, that's when everything changes. Stay until the end, because the moment she walks out is just the beginning. I'm Madison, and I'm 28 years old. For most of my life, I've been what you'd call the other one. Not the golden child, not the success story, just the one who was there, the one who understood, the one who made things easier for everyone else. My brother Ethan is 3 years older than me, and from the moment he could walk, he was destined for greatness. At least, that's what our parents always said. He was the firstborn son, the one with the plan, the one who did everything right. Straight A's in high school, full ride to a prestigious university, law degree from an Ivy League school, every single milestone celebrated like he'd discovered a cure for cancer. Me? I was the afterthought, the participation trophy. Well, at least she tries, kid. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't neglected. I had food, clothes, a roof over my head. But there's a difference between being provided for and being seen. And I learned early on that in our family, there was only room for one star. Ethan held that position, and I held his jacket while he shined. When Ethan went to college, my parents threw him a graduation party with 100 guests and a catered buffet. They bought him a car, a decent one too. Helped him move into his dorm with matching furniture sets and a mini fridge stocked with his favorite snacks. When he graduated law school, they cried tears of joy and posted about it on Facebook for weeks. When I graduated high school, we went to Olive Garden. Just the four of us. My mom took one photo on her phone, never posted it, and spent most of dinner talking about Ethan's upcoming internship at a law firm in Manhattan. I learned not to expect much. I learned to celebrate my own victories quietly, in my bedroom, with maybe a text to my best friend Sarah. I learned that asking for help meant hearing about how tight money was, right before watching my parents write another check for Ethan's networking expenses. I put myself through community college with a combination of scholarships, 2 part-time jobs, and student loans. I studied graphic design because I loved it, even though my dad called it a hobby, not a career. I moved into a cramped studio apartment in a not great neighborhood because I couldn't afford anything better. I built my freelance business from scratch, client by client, late night after late night. And you know what? I was proud of myself. I didn't need the parade. I just wanted acknowledgement. A good job, honey. We're proud of you too. But that wasn't how our family worked. Ethan was the golden child and I was the supporting cast. That was the script, and we all played our parts. Even when Ethan needed help, I showed up. When he was writing his law school thesis and drowning in research, who spent 3 weekends helping him compile sources and format citations? Me. When he was stressed about the bar exam, who listened to him vent for hours on the phone? Me. When he wanted to propose to his girlfriend but couldn't afford the ring he wanted, who lent him $3,000 without hesitation? Me. He promised he'd pay me back as soon as the promotion goes through. That was 14 months ago. I haven't seen $1, but I told myself it was fine. He's my brother. Family helps family. That's what you do. Then he met Vanessa Laurent, 27 years old, interior designer for high-end clients, daughter of a real estate developer who owned half the buildings downtown. She was beautiful in that effortless way. Long dark hair, perfect skin, designer clothes that looked casual but probably cost more than my rent. Ethan met her at a charity gala his firm was hosting. He came home that night and called me immediately, breathless with excitement. "Madison, I met someone. She's incredible. She's smart, successful, gorgeous. I think she might be the one." I was happy for him, genuinely. Ethan deserved love. He deserved someone who matched his ambition and drive. The first time I met Vanessa was at a family dinner my mom hosted. Vanessa walked in wearing cream-colored slacks and a silk blouse, carrying a bottle of wine that probably cost more than my grocery budget for the month. She was polite, charming, complimentary about my mom's cooking. When she asked what I did for a living, I explained I was a freelance graphic designer, building my own client base. She tilted her head, that smile never quite reaching her eyes. "Oh, you're still doing the freelance thing? How flexible?" The way she said flexible made it sound like a synonym for unstable, like I was a child playing dress-up instead of an adult running a business. Ethan laughed it off. "Madison's really talented. She designed the logo for my friend's startup." Vanessa nodded, already looking past me toward my dad. "So, Mr. Chen, Ethan tells me you're a contractor. Have you worked on any notable projects?" And just like that, I was dismissed. Over the next few months, the pattern repeated. Family dinners where Vanessa dominated the conversation with stories about her clients, her projects, her social circle. Ethan beaming beside her, so clearly proud to have won someone like her. My parents hanging on her every word, laughing at her jokes, asking about her family's business. I became background noise. When Vanessa and Ethan got engaged, a surprise proposal on a yacht, photographer ready, Instagram perfect. My mom cried happy tears and immediately started planning. The wedding became the only topic of conversation in our family. Venue options, dress shopping, guest lists, catering menus. I wasn't asked for input on any of it. "Vanessa has very specific vision," my mom explained when I tentatively asked if they needed help with anything. "She's working with a professional planner. It's all under control." "But I could help with the invitations," I offered. "Graphic design, remember? I could create something custom." My mom patted my hand. "That's sweet, honey, but Vanessa already hired a calligrapher, someone her family has used for years. You understand?" I understood. I always understood. I wasn't chosen as a bridesmaid. "We want an even number," Ethan explained over coffee. "Vanessa has 6 close friends, and I have 6 guys. It just works out better this way." "But I'm your sister," I said quietly. "I know, and you'll still be there. Your family. That's more important than being in the wedding party." Except it didn't feel more important. It felt like being erased. The bridal shower happened without me. I found out about it through Instagram. Photos of Vanessa surrounded by her friends and my mom, opening gifts, laughing over champagne. The caption read, "Celebrating with my favorite ladies." I texted my mom. "I didn't know there was a shower today." She responded 3 hours later. "It was last minute, honey. Vanessa's friends organized it. I didn't want to bother you since you're always so busy with work." That stung. When Ethan needed something, I was never too busy. But when it came to being included in his happiness, suddenly my schedule was an excuse to leave me out. I tried not to take it personally. Weddings are stressful. People get caught up in the details. It wasn't about me. But then came the rehearsal dinner. I received a text message from Ethan, not even a phone call, 3 days before the wedding. "Hey, rehearsal dinner is family only. See you Saturday." I stared at that text for a long time. Family only. But I was family, wasn't I? I called my mom. "What does Ethan mean by family only for the rehearsal dinner?" She sighed. "Sweetheart, you understand, right? Vanessa's family is paying for the dinner. They get to decide the guest list. It's just immediate family and the wedding party." "I am immediate family." "I know, honey, but there are a lot of people to accommodate. Vanessa's extended family is coming in from out of town. It's complicated." "So her cousins she barely knows are invited, but I'm not?" "Madison." Her voice took on that warning tone. "Don't make this difficult. It's not about you. It's Ethan's wedding. Can you please just be happy for him?" I could be happy for him, but I could also feel the sting of being excluded from my own brother's celebration. I saw the photos later on Instagram. Vanessa's cousins, people she'd mentioned maybe twice, sitting at elegant tables, toasting with wine, laughing with my parents. My mom looked beautiful in a navy dress. My dad had his arm around Ethan, pride radiating from his smile. I sat alone in my apartment that night, eating leftover Chinese food, scrolling through images of a family dinner I wasn't invited to. The next day, I tried calling Ethan to ask about the seating chart. Where would I be sitting at the reception? He didn't answer. I texted. He responded 6 hours later. Your seat is handled. Just show up and enjoy. That should have reassured me. Instead, it made my stomach twist with anxiety. I called again the morning of the wedding. No answer. I texted, just want to confirm where I'm sitting so I know where to go. The 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Finally, don't worry about it. Everything's taken care of. But I did worry. Something felt off. Wrong. Still, I got ready. I'd bought a new dress for the occasion, a soft, rose-colored midi dress that cost more than I usually spent on clothes. I wanted to look nice, to fit in, to make my family proud. I did my makeup carefully, curled my hair, practiced my smile in the mirror. The smile that said, I'm happy for you, and not, I'm hurt that you've made me feel invisible. I could do this. I could show up, be gracious, celebrate my brother's marriage. One day, I could be the bigger person. I had no idea how wrong I was. The venue was beautiful. Some historic estate with manicured gardens and a ballroom with crystal chandeliers. Vanessa's family had money, and it showed in every detail. White roses everywhere. String quartet playing classical music. Guests in designer clothes sipping champagne on the lawn. I arrived early, clutching my gift, an envelope with a $2,000 check and a handmade scrapbook I'd spent weeks creating. Childhood photos of Ethan and me, memories of when we were close, when he was my big brother who taught me to ride a bike and defended me from bullies, when I still mattered to him. Sarah had told me not to give such a generous gift. Girl, they don't even appreciate you. Save your money. But I wanted to do this. I wanted to prove I was happy for him, that I could be the supportive sister even when it hurt. I walked up to the entrance where ushers in matching suits were directing guests. The young man looked at me with polite confusion. Name, please? Madison Chen. I'm the groom's sister. He scanned his list, brow furrowing. How do you spell that? C-H-E-N. I'm family. I should be on there. He flipped through pages, then looked up with an awkward smile. Can you give me just a moment? Let me check with the coordinator. I stood there, dress blowing slightly in the breeze, watching other guests walk past me with their escort cards, moving confidently toward their seats. A woman in a lavender dress glanced at me with pity. The coordinator appeared, a woman in her 40s with a clipboard and a Bluetooth headset. You're Madison? Yes, the groom's sister. She pressed her lips together. Right, there was a last-minute seating change. Your original seat went to a +1 for one of the bride's cousins. The words hit me like cold water. I'm sorry, what? It's fine, though. We have a solution. She gestured vaguely toward the back of the seating area. You can stand over there during the ceremony. Just stay near the wall. That way you won't be in any of the photos. We want to make sure all the shots are clean. I couldn't speak. I literally couldn't form words. Stand near the wall. So I wouldn't ruin the photos. My seat as the groom's sister had been given to a stranger, a +1, someone's date who had no connection to my brother at all, and I was supposed to stand, against a wall, like a piece of furniture no one wanted in the frame. I'm his sister, I managed to say. The coordinator's smile was professionally sympathetic. I know, honey, it's just one of those things. Weddings are complicated, but you're still here. That's what matters. She walked away before I could respond, already talking into her headset about some other crisis. I stood frozen for a moment, then slowly made my way to the back, to the wall, where I was told to position myself so I wouldn't ruin anyone's perfect day. The ceremony began. My parents walked down the aisle, my mom dabbing her eyes with a tissue, my dad's chest puffed with pride. The groomsmen, the bridesmaids in their matching champagne dresses, and then Vanessa looking absolutely stunning in a dress that probably cost more than my car. I watched from my spot against the wall as my brother married the woman he loved, surrounded by people who mattered, people who had seats, people who were in the frame. After the vows, after the kiss, after the recessional, guests began moving toward the cocktail hour. I started to follow, then heard someone call for family photos. I took a breath and walked toward the group gathering on the lawn. My parents, Ethan and Vanessa, the wedding party, extended family I barely recognized. I moved to stand next to my mom. Vanessa's mother, a woman in an elaborate fascinator hat, turned to me with a polite but firm smile. "Actually, sweetheart, can you step aside? We want just immediate family for this one." I looked at my mom. She wouldn't meet my eyes, just gave me a tiny apologetic shrug. Ethan stood there in his tuxedo, arm around his new wife, and said nothing. I stepped back, behind a decorative column, and watched as they smiled and posed, the photographer calling out directions, everyone laughing and adjusting for the perfect shot. Without me. I heard whispers behind me. 2 women I didn't recognize. "Who's that girl? She looks lost." I think she might be one of the vendors, maybe catering. They thought I was staff, not family. Staff. Something broke inside me in that moment. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet crack, like ice starting to fracture. I turned away from the photos and walked back toward the reception area. My heels clicked on the stone pathway. The sun was setting, casting everything in golden light that should have been beautiful, but just felt hollow. And then I saw it. The gift table, draped in white linen, covered with elegantly wrapped boxes and cream-colored envelopes. Mine was near the center. I'd written to Ethan and Vanessa in careful calligraphy, spent an hour making it perfect. I stopped walking, stared at that envelope. $2,000. Money I'd saved. Money I could have used for so many things. Fixing my car, updating my computer, taking a vacation I desperately needed. Money I'd given because he was my brother, because family helps family, because I wanted him to be happy. But where was my family? Where was the person who was supposed to protect me, include me, see me? He was standing on a lawn, posing for photos, letting his new in-laws erase me from his life. I walked to the table. My hand reached for the envelope. The wedding planner materialized beside me. "Excuse me, miss, you can't touch the gifts." I looked at her, and something in my expression made her step back. "This is mine," I said quietly. "I'm taking it back." "But who are you?" I picked up the envelope, held it against my chest. "I'm the groom's sister." I turned and walked toward the exit, not running, not making a scene, just walking, with my head high and my gift in my hand. People were starting to notice. Whispers followed me. The coordinator spoke urgently into her headset. I heard Vanessa's mother's voice. "Where is she going with that envelope?" I didn't stop. I didn't explain. I just kept walking toward the parking lot, toward my car, toward freedom. And that's when I heard him. "Madison, wait!" Ethan, running across the lawn in his tuxedo, expensive shoes slapping against stone. I reached my car, unlocked it, got inside. He knocked on the window, breathless. "What are you doing? Please, not today. Don't do this on my wedding day." I lowered the window just enough to speak. "I'm not doing anything, Ethan. I'm just leaving, like you wanted." "That's not fair. You're making this about you." "No." My voice was steady, calm. "I'm making this about me for the first time in my life. There's a difference. Vanessa's family has rules. I can't control everything. You could have said something when they took my seat. You could have defended me when they made me stand against a wall. You could have included me in one single photo." I looked at him through the glass. "But you didn't. You chose them, so I'm choosing me." "Why are you being so sensitive? It's just a seat." "It wasn't just a seat, Ethan." My eyes burned, but I refused to cry. "It was 28 years. It was every time you let them treat me like I didn't matter. It was watching my own family pretend I didn't exist." He ran his hand through his hair, frustrated. "Is this about the $3,000? I'll pay you back, I promise." I almost laughed. It was never about the money. It was about respect, about being seen, about mattering to my own brother. I started the engine. "Madison, please." "I hope you have a beautiful life, Ethan." I looked at him one last time. "Just don't expect me to stand on the sidelines watching it anymore." I drove away. In my rearview mirror, I saw him standing in the parking lot, frozen, still in his tuxedo, And for the first time in 28 years, I didn't feel guilty for putting myself first. I felt free. I drove for 20 minutes before I realized I had no destination in mind. I just needed to get away. Away from that venue, away from those people, away from the version of myself who would have swallowed the humiliation and smiled through it. I pulled into a coffee shop parking lot and sat there, hands still gripping the steering wheel, the envelope with my gift resting on the passenger seat. My phone started buzzing. I glanced down. Mom. Then Dad. Then a number I didn't recognize. Probably someone from the wedding trying to smooth things over. I turned my phone to silent and stared out the windshield at nothing. A barista knocked on my window, concerned. "Ma'am, are you okay?" I nodded, managed a smile. "Just needed a minute." "You look like you're dressed for something fancy. Wedding?" "Something like that." She studied me for a moment, then smiled gently. "Well, whatever it was, I hope the rest of your day gets better." "It already has," I said, and meant it. I went home, changed into sweatpants, poured myself a glass of wine, and sat on my tiny balcony watching the sunset. My phone continued to vibrate on the kitchen counter. I ignored it. For the first time in years, I felt light. Not happy exactly. There was still hurt, still anger, but light. Like I'd been carrying something heavy for so long that I'd forgotten what it felt like to set it down. Around 9 p.m., I finally looked at my phone. 17 missed calls, 32 text messages. Most were from my mom. "Madison, where did you go?" "Your brother is upset." "This is his wedding day. How could you?" "Call me immediately." "You embarrassed the entire family." My dad's messages were shorter, but equally pointed. "This was inappropriate. We need to talk. Your mother is very upset." Ethan had sent 6 messages, each more desperate than the last. "Madison, please come back." "I'm sorry, okay? Can we just talk about this?" "You're ruining everything. Vanessa is asking questions. Why are you doing this to me?" "At least answer Mom." The last message, sent an hour ago, was different. "I know I messed up, but walking out? Really?" I stared at that message for a long time. Even now, even after everything, he thought I was the problem, not the family who excluded me, not the in-laws who treated me like I was invisible, not him for allowing all of it, me, for finally saying enough. I opened Instagram, posted a simple photo, the view from my balcony, my wine glass in the foreground, city lights in the distance. The caption read, "Finally out of the frame, finally free." Then I blocked my parents' numbers. Blocked Ethan. Blocked Vanessa. Not out of spite, out of self-preservation. My cousin Lily called. She was 19, away at college, the only family member who'd ever really understood me. "Oh my God, Madison, I just heard. Are you okay?" "I'm actually fine." "I can't believe they did that to you. I'm so sorry I wasn't there." "It's not your fault, Lily." "My mom just called me freaking out. She said you made a scene." "I didn't make a scene, I just left." "Good." Her voice was fierce. "They deserved it. I've watched them treat you like you don't matter for years. I'm proud of you." Those words made my throat tight. "Thank you." "What are you going to do now?" "I don't know, but whatever it is, it'll be for me, not them." After we hung up, I sat there thinking about that question. What was I going to do? I opened my banking app. The $2,000 I hadn't given away was still there. Money that was mine. Money I could use for myself. On impulse, I pulled up flights to Iceland. I'd wanted to go for years, see the northern lights, visit the geothermal pools, experience something completely outside my normal world. But I'd always told myself I couldn't afford it. Too expensive, too impractical, too selfish. But what had being practical gotten me? What had putting everyone else first earned me? A spot against the wall. I booked the flight. 2 weeks from now. Solo trip. 7 days. The money I'd saved for my brother's wedding was now funding my own freedom. I posted the confirmation screenshot on Instagram with a simple caption, "Best gift I ever gave myself." The next morning, I woke up to my phone exploding with notifications. Not from family, I'd blocked them, but from friends and a few acquaintances who'd heard what happened. Sarah called immediately. "Girl, I just heard. Are you okay? Do you need me to come over?" "I'm good. Actually, I'm great. Tell me everything. I did. The wall, the seat, the photos, the gift table. Sarah listened without interrupting, which I appreciated. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then, I'm so proud of you. That took guts. It didn't feel like guts. It felt like survival. Sometimes they're the same thing. That afternoon, Sarah and two other close friends showed up at my apartment with Thai food and champagne. They declared it a celebration of freedom dinner. To Madison, Sarah raised her glass, for finally putting herself first. We toasted, ate too much pad thai, laughed about ridiculous family dynamics. They didn't make me feel bad for what I'd done. They didn't suggest I should apologize or make peace or be the bigger person. They just supported me, saw me, celebrated me. This, I realized, was what family should feel like. Meanwhile, back in my blocked contacts, the wedding was apparently imploding in slow motion. Lily kept me updated. Aunt Karen posted on Facebook defending you, she texted. Said she saw what happened and that you had every right to be upset. How's that going over? Civil war. Half the family is Team Madison. The other half is saying you ruined Ethan's special day. What about Ethan and Vanessa? They cut the reception short. Vanessa was apparently furious that people were gossiping about drama instead of focusing on her. I felt a small, petty satisfaction at that. Then felt guilty for the satisfaction. Then decided I was allowed to feel however I felt. My grandmother called from a number I hadn't blocked. I almost didn't answer. Madison, honey, it's Grandma. Hi, Grandma. I heard what happened. I'm calling to say I'm ashamed of them. That surprised me. What? I saw you standing there during the photos. I saw them exclude you, and I said nothing. I'm a coward, and I'm sorry. My eyes welled up. You're not a coward. I am. But I'm here now. Are you okay? I think so. Good. Don't let them guilt you into coming back before you're ready. You set a boundary. That's healthy. Mom and Dad don't see it that way. Your mother is stubborn. She'll realize she was wrong eventually. And if she doesn't, that's her loss. We talked for another hour. Grandma told me stories about her own family drama, times she'd been expected to shrink herself for other people's comfort. I wish I'd had your courage when I was your age, she said. That week, I threw myself into work, landed a new client, a tech startup that needed complete brand redesign, $15,000 contract, the biggest of my career. I celebrated alone in my apartment with cheap champagne and a frozen pizza. It felt more genuine than any family celebration ever had. My phone buzzed. A new number. Ethan trying to get around the block. Madison, it's me. Please read this. I know I messed up. Vanessa and I have been talking. She feels bad about how things went. Can we meet for coffee? Just talk? I stared at those messages. Part of me wanted to respond. The old Madison. The one who always gave second chances, who always tried to make peace. But a bigger part of me knew better. This wasn't about a single conversation that could fix everything. This was about a lifetime of being treated as less than, and one coffee date wouldn't change that. I deleted the messages, didn't respond, didn't engage. The silence was powerful. 2 weeks later, I was on a plane to Iceland. Window seat, headphones in, book open, completely alone and completely at peace with it. Reykjavik was everything I'd hoped, cold and beautiful and stark. I hiked glaciers, soaked in hot springs, stood under the northern lights with tears streaming down my face because I'd never seen anything so magnificent. I posted photos throughout the trip, not to prove anything to my family, they couldn't see them anyway, but because I wanted to document this version of myself. The one who chose her own adventure. One photo in particular went viral among my followers. Me standing in front of the aurora, arms spread wide, caption, "Turns out the best views come when you stop standing against the wall." Comments poured in. "You're glowing!" This is what freedom looks like. Whoever made you feel small doesn't deserve you. When I returned home, I felt different, lighter, more sure of myself. My apartment was still small. My car still needed repairs. My business was still growing. But I was happy. Genuinely, deeply happy in a way I hadn't been in years. Grandma invited me for lunch. Neutral territory, a quiet cafe downtown. She hugged me tight when I arrived. "You look good, sweetheart." "I feel good." Over sandwiches, she told me the family update I'd been avoiding. "Your parents are asking what it'll take to get you to come back." "Come back to what?" "Family dinners, holidays, the usual." "I don't want to come back, Grandma. I want to move forward." She nodded, understanding. "That's fair. They're hurt, you know. Your mother especially." "I'm hurt too. I've been hurt for years. They just never noticed." "I know, honey. For what it's worth, your father is starting to see it. He told me he's been thinking about how they treated you growing up. He's not ready to admit he was wrong yet, but he's thinking about it." "That's something, I guess." "Ethan's been asking about you, too." I took a sip of my coffee. "What does he want?" "To apologize. Really apologize. Not just smooth things over." "It's too late for that." "Maybe, maybe not, but that's your choice to make, and no one else's." Thanksgiving was approaching. Traditionally, we'd all gather at my parents' house. Turkey, stuffing, the whole Norman Rockwell fantasy that never quite matched reality. My mom reached out through Grandma, asking if I'd come. "Tell her no," I said. "Tell her I have other plans." My other plans were Friendsgiving with Sarah and 5 other friends. We cooked together, laughed too loud, played board games, and never once made me feel like I needed to be anyone other than exactly who I was. We went around the table sharing what we were grateful for. When it was my turn, I said, "I'm grateful I finally learned to choose myself." Everyone raised their glasses. That night, Ethan sent another message from yet another new number. "We always have an empty chair now. Mom sets a place for you even though you're not coming. Dad barely talks at dinner. I know this is my fault. I don't know how to fix it." I read it twice, then put my phone down and didn't respond. His guilt wasn't my responsibility. His discomfort wasn't my problem to solve. Not anymore. Christmas came. Same question from Grandma. "Will you come?" Same answer. "No." I spent Christmas morning in my apartment, made myself a nice breakfast. Video called with Lily, who was home from college and miserable at my parents' house. "It's so awkward here," she whispered from the bathroom. "Everyone's pretending everything's fine, but there's this huge Madison-shaped hole in every conversation." "How's Ethan?" "Quiet. He and Vanessa got in a fight last night because he kept bringing you up. She told him to let it go, that you clearly don't care about family." She's half right. Which half? I do care about family, just not the one that treated me like I was invisible. In January, I landed another major client. My business was thriving in ways it never had when I was splitting my energy between work and family obligations. I moved to a better apartment. Nothing fancy, but it had big windows and actual closet space and a neighborhood where I felt safe walking at night. I filled it with plants and artwork and photos of my chosen family, friends who showed up, who saw me, who celebrated my wins without diminishing them. There was no picture of Ethan, no family photos from childhood. I didn't frame the pain. One evening, a letter arrived. Not a text, not an email, but actual handwritten pages in an envelope with my name in Ethan's handwriting. I almost threw it away unopened, but curiosity won. "Madison," it began, "I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even expect you to read this, but I need to say it anyway. I was a coward. I chose comfort over you. I chose impressing Vanessa's family over defending my own sister. I watched them humiliate you, and I said nothing. I stood there like a statue while they erased you from the most important day of my life. You deserved better. You've always deserved better. I've been thinking about when we were kids, how you used to help me with everything, how you'd give me your Halloween candy when I ate all mine, how you covered for me when I broke Dad's fishing rod, how you've always been there, quiet and steady and forgiving, and I took it for granted. I took you for granted. Vanessa and I are in therapy now, not because of you, because losing you made me realize how many things I've been getting wrong, how many people I've hurt by choosing the easy path instead of the right one. I'm not asking you to come back. I'm not asking for anything. I just want you to know that I see it now. I see what I did. I see who you are, and I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. Your brother, Ethan." I read it 3 times, cried a little, not because I was ready to forgive him, but because it was the first time he'd truly acknowledged the hurt. But acknowledgement didn't erase years of neglect. It didn't give me back the moments I'd stood in his shadow. It didn't fix the fact that he'd chosen his new family's comfort over my dignity. I folded the letter, put it in a drawer, and went on with my life. 6 months after the wedding, my design business was booming. I'd been commissioned to do the visual branding for a small art gallery downtown. Logo, website, promotional materials, everything. The owner, a woman named Claire in her 50s, loved my work. You have a gift for seeing what something should be, not just what it is. Thank you. What made you get into design? I wanted to create spaces where people could be seen, I said. Really seen for who they are. She studied me. That sounds personal. It is. The gallery was hosting an opening for local artists, and Claire invited me to display some of my own work, not just commercial design, but personal pieces I'd created over the years. I'd never shown my art publicly before. It felt vulnerable, exposing. But I said yes. I created a series of pieces exploring visibility and invisibility, figures standing in shadows, empty chairs at full tables, portraits of people looking away, and one central piece titled Out of Frame, a woman walking away from a perfect family photo, face forward, full of light. The opening night was packed. Friends came, clients came, Lily drove up from college. Grandma came too, beaming with pride. Your parents should be here, she said quietly. They weren't invited. Good for you. The evening was perfect. People engaged with my work, asked questions, understood what I was saying through color and composition. A journalist from a local arts magazine interviewed me. What inspired this collection? It's about the moment you stop trying to fit into other people's frames and start creating your own. The article came out 2 weeks later with photos of the exhibition. The headline read, Local Designer Explores Family, Freedom and Finding Yourself. I posted it on Instagram. Simple caption. A year ago, I was told to stand near the wall. Tonight, my art is on the walls. Funny how life works. The post went viral. Thousands of shares, comments from people sharing their own stories of family rejection, of choosing themselves, of walking away from people who made them feel small. Ethan saw it. I know because Lily told me he'd shown it to Vanessa. What did she say? I asked, not sure why I cared. She asked if you were still holding a grudge. I laughed, a real laugh. I'm not holding anything. I'm living. That's what I told him. Spring turned to summer. My business grew. I hired an assistant, started teaching workshops on design and branding, built a life that was full and rich and entirely my own. I dated a little. Nothing serious, but it was nice to meet people who only knew this version of me. The confident, self-assured Madison who didn't apologize for taking up space. My parents reached out one last time through Grandma. They want to know what it would take for you to consider reconciliation. Nothing, I said. There's nothing to reconcile. I'm not angry anymore. I'm not hurt. I'm just done. They're your parents, Madison. I know, and I hope they're happy. I hope they have a good life. But I don't need to be part of it to have a good life myself. Grandma sighed, but didn't argue. You know I love you, right? I know, and I love you too. You can still be in my life, Grandma. You don't have to choose. They feel like I'm betraying them by maintaining a relationship with you. Then I guess they're asking you to choose too. That's not fair to you. Life rarely is, but we get to decide how we respond. In December, a year after the wedding, Lily sent me a photo. The family Christmas dinner. Everyone seated around the table. Mom, Dad, Ethan, Vanessa, various relatives, and one empty chair with a place setting. They still set a place for you, Lily texted. Every holiday, like you're coming back. I stared at that photo for a long time. The empty chair was supposed to make me feel guilty, I think. Supposed to remind me what I was missing. But all I felt was relief. Relief that I wasn't sitting there pretending. Relief that I wasn't shrinking myself to fit into their idea of family. Relief that I'd chosen myself. Let them keep the chair, I texted back. I've already moved on. Christmas Day, I hosted a small gathering at my apartment. Sarah, Lily, a few other friends. We cooked together, laughed, shared stories. I felt surrounded by love, real love, the kind that sees you and celebrates you and never asks you to stand against a wall. Before dinner, I proposed a toast. A year ago, I walked away from my brother's wedding. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but it was also the moment my real life began. I learned that family isn't just blood. It's the people who show up, who see you, who make space for you at the table, not because they have to, but because they want to. So thank you, all of you, for being my real family. We clinked glasses. Lily wiped her eyes. Sarah squeezed my hand. Later that night, alone in my apartment, I pulled out Ethan's letter from the drawer, read it one more time. He was sorry. I believed that, but sorry didn't erase what happened. Sorry didn't give me back the years I spent invisible. Sorry didn't rebuild trust that had been shattered so completely. Maybe someday I'd be ready to have a conversation with him. Maybe someday the wound wouldn't feel so raw. But that day wasn't today, and I was okay with that. I opened my journal, a habit I'd started in therapy, and wrote, "They say blood is thicker than water, but the full quote is, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. The bonds we choose can be stronger than the ones we're born into. I didn't leave my family. I left a role that was killing me, and in that space, I found myself. If you're standing against the wall in your own life, metaphorically or literally, I hope my story reminds you. You can walk away. You can take your gift back. You can choose yourself. And when you do, you won't be stepping out of the frame. You'll be stepping into your own picture." I closed the journal and looked around my apartment, at the art on my walls, at the life I'd built, at the woman I'd become. She was someone I was proud of, someone who didn't need validation from people who'd never truly seen her, someone who'd learned that the most important frame to be in was her own. My phone buzzed, a text from Claire at the gallery. "We want to do a bigger exhibition of your work next year, a full solo show. Are you interested?" I smiled and typed back, "Absolutely." Outside my window, the city lights sparkled against the night sky. Tomorrow, I'd wake up and continue building this life I'd chosen. This life where I wasn't invisible, wasn't the supporting character, wasn't standing against any walls. I was front and center, finally, fully, completely myself. And I had no intention of going back to anything less.